In progress.
Okay, so we are learning a mimer from Shabbos parts of Yaakov Bekudei, parts of Chodesh, Mevorach Machodesh Nisan Tovshim Mem Beis, 1982. Chodesh Atalochem Goimer. This month is for you the first of new months, etc., first months of the year, and so on. The Isa Medrash Shmois Rabbe Mem Kaima is brought down the Medrash Rabbe on this pasuk. Hado D'chsiv. This is what it says in the pasuk. Hagoy hazeh, this nation, asher havai alakov ha'am bachlo nachlat loy, that Hashem, his God, the nation that he chose, that they should be his lot, they should be like his inheritance. When Hashem chose his world, he established heads of months and heads of years. In other words, initially, like we're soon going to learn, when the first world was first created, the beginning of the year for everything, both for months and for years, was on Tishrei. But when Hashem chose Yaakov and his children, in other words, when he took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim, covered by Rosh Chodesh Shel Geula, he established and set a head of month of redemption, which is going on the month of Nisan, and that became the first of all the months throughout the Torah. Whenever we call not month number 1, month number 2, number 3, it starts from Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Shaboy Nigel, I was saying in Mitzrayim, that in that month our forefathers were redeemed from Mitzrayim, and Boy Asidim Ligoil, and this month they will be redeemed in the future. Shenamar, like it says, can make says Mitzrayim, and if lives like your days going out of the land of Mitzrayim, I will show you wonders. The Medrash, the Mashma Shesh Daldin Yonim, and this Medrash seems to indicate that there are 4 concepts. Usually, when we look at this Medrash, even Mamar Chassidus speak about 2 levels. When Hashem chose the world, and then when Hashem chose the Jewish people. But the Rebbe is really going to divide it into 4 levels. The world before Hashem chose it, and after Hashem chose it, and then before Hashem chose the Eden, and after Hashem chose the Eden. There was the world of Hashem before he chose it. And then there is the world after Hashem chose it. And so too, in Yaakov and his children, how they are before they were chosen and how they are after they were chosen. The fact that Hashem established in his world heads of months and years, it's going on the first of the month of Tishrei, that was considered the head of the year in the creation of the world. Like it says, in Tanakh it speaks about events in the times of Shlomo HaMelech concerning the building of the Beis HaMikdash of Shlomo, and it gives a date, B'Yerach HaEsonim, in the month of the Esonim could mean ancient ones. So Rashi explains, what is the month of the ancient ones? Upirish Rashi explains, the Atikaya Koirin Letishrei Yarcha Kadmor. The ancient ones, the old ones, call Tishrei the first month. So we see at a previous time in history, Tishrei was called the first month. Now, who exactly are these Atikaya? What period is it referring to, these ancients? Yes, but the base Pirushim, there are 2 explanations in this Pirush. One explanation is the Koyal Atikaya, Hainu Ebrias Oilum Tnei Matan Torah. It's referring to the ancient ones. That's from the creation of the world before Matan Torah. That's ancient times. That's ancient history. That ancient time, up until the Torah was given, Tishrei was the head of the year. Period. No differences, month, years, etc. Pirish Beis, another explanation in Yerach HaEsonim, the Koyal Avis Hakruim Esonim. It's referring to the Avis. The forefathers are called either ancient ones, or Eson could also mean powerful and mighty ones. Either way, regardless if it's referring to the month of the Avis or the month of the ancient times of the creation, according to both explanations in the word Esonim, the month of Tishrei was the head of years. Was the head of the year for years prior to Matan Torah. When Hashem chose Yaakov and his children, he established for them a head of month of redemption, which now there's a whole new thing. Now there's a new head, which is the month of Nisan. Second paragraph, Lahavin calls that to be able to understand all of this in the Yadua. It's no, the true idea of choice is kasher ein shum timing v'sibas labchira, when there's no reasons and causes for the free choice. Hainu shaboicher mushels ulegamni madavar shabocher boy, the one who chose it is completely removed from the matter that he chosen. Verak shaboicher kein bebchirasei hachavshis, and therefore the reason he's choosing is totally free will. If a person has some type of connection with the thing that he's choosing, so he's choosing it because of his connection with it, that's not totally free will. Totally free will is that the thing is essentially of a completely different world than him. He has no connection with it whatsoever, and now he chooses it. It's completely free choice. Therefore, based on that, the Rebbe is going to explain where is it applicable, the idea of free choice that's only in Hashem himself and the world. Everything else, you can't say true free choice. All the levels in godliness, even the most highest rays of revelation and even the most highest influences and drawing down of godliness is since they're only a ray and drawing down and only a ashpa, they are already formed and they take already a particular form. And therefore, this very form obligates us that he should choose this matter and not something else. Meaning that when I already am defined by something, therefore that definition means that I have an interest and I'm drawn to things that are like me. Things that are more unlike me, are less connected to me, and are less a freedom to choose them, if you will. The true idea of choice, it's in Hashem's very essence, that's beyond anything that draws down and any type of ray of godliness and any type of influence of godliness. He is completely removed. Pashut means like undressed. He is not enclosed in any type of form. And this is why Kabbalah says about him, Lo Yisram is b'shum ois v'koitz. He can't be hinted in any letter or even any point upon a letter that indicates about how formless and how undefined he is. Moving from this understood, what it says that Hashem, from when Hashem chose his world, the intention of this is, in the world, there is the choice of Hashem's very essence. We could say the explanation on this. What does this mean? That Hashem's very essence chose the world. In other words, what's the relationship between Hashem's essence and our physical world? According to what Alter Rebbe explains in the end of Tanya in the Geras HaKodesh, Siman Chav, the Hu Levade she'ena all meize ilu v'siba shekadm lechas v'sholem, Hu Levade b'koicha v'yicholte livri yesh ma'ayin. Only Hashem himself, no revelations, no illuminations, but only Hashem's very being that didn't come from anywhere, can create something from nothing. V'hainu, this means the savas yesh ma'ayin, the coming into being, the creation of something from nothing. Not only is it not in the capability of the created beings, no created being has the capability to create something from nothing. But even more so, even in Hashem Kaviyachol, it cannot be done by those levels of godliness that have any prior cause. You talk about Atzilus. Atzilus came from Keser. You talk about Keser. Keser came from a level that's higher beyond that. So every level that has a prior cause to it cannot be the source of creation. Creation has to come from something that has no prior cause. Only Hashem's very essence that has no prior cause, heaven forbid, that can create the world which imagines itself to be totally independent without any prior cause. This is also the reason why we find in many commentaries, and also we find this also in Mamor Chassidus. They asked the question, why is the beginning of the Aseres HaDibros that I am Hashem your God that took you out of the land of Mitzrayim, instead of saying that I am the one that created the heavens and the earth? Why would we consider having that statement in the Aseres HaDibros? The Avshit is Mitzrayim unes Godel b'yoser drog, taking you out of Mitzrayim is a very great miracle. Yesh no ilui Godel yoser b'bril shemaim v'oretz. There's even a greater quality and advantage in the creation of heavens and earth. Ki davki isavas oil mesimatz musi yisbarach, because specifically the creation of the worlds comes from Hashem's very essence. Therefore, there is a question that Mamor Chassidus asks: why does Hashem introduce himself by a more powerful thing? That created the heavens and earth. We're not going into the answer to that question here, but just pointing out how the creation has to do with Hashem's very essence. Since the coming into being of the Yesh is by the power of Hashem's essence, therefore in the world there is also Hashem's choosing of the world. This last paragraph on this page, and concerning this it says, Hashem chose this world, his world, he established in it heads of months and heads of years. The idea behind this is on the 25th of El, the world was created. Yet, despite that, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah davening, still in all we say on Rosh Hashanah and Musaf, this day, the day of Rosh Hashanah, the 1st of Tishrei, not the 25th of El. 6 days later, we say this is the day of the beginning of your actions. It's referring to the day of Rosh Hashanah. How come? Why is Rosh Hashanah the day that we call the beginning? Chav Hey is the same letters like the word Koi, like, similar to. Just like Hashem said, let us make man similar to us. That's the level of Koi. Koi is not the ultimate revelation. Koi still indicates it's hazy. All the Nevi'im, it said, when they said Koi Amar Hashem, because Koi means they don't exactly see it. They have a hazy vision. But Rosh Hashanah Nifal Inyan Naila Yoiser, on Rosh Hashanah happens a higher thing. The level of Zeh. Zeh is something that only Moshe, the head of all the Nevi'im, had revealed, that you can actually point to it with your finger and say Zeh. It's open, it's revealed. Zeh Yom Tchilas Masecha. That's the difference, like we said. There's the two stages. The world before Hashem chose it was Koi, and the world after Hashem chose it was Zeh. The Olam Tzadatzmai, Koi, it's the level of Koi, the world on its own. The idea that Hashem chose his world, that's the level of Zeh. Canal, like we said before. Therefore, they established in it heads of months and years, because there was this level of Zeh, this greater revelation. Shakoi Kanal Chodesh Tishrei, that refers to, like we said before, on the month of Tishrei, Bechinas Zeh Yom Tchilas Masecha, this the day, the beginning of your doings. So you have the level of Zeh. That is a result of the choice that Hashem chose the world. Amnam, second paragraph on the page. Even after these two levels, you had the Koi, and then you had the Zeh, you had Chafei Elul, and then you had Zayim Tchilas Masecha, then you have a further stage. What happened when Hashem chose the Yidden in Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Amnam Shabachar b'Yaakov, when Hashem chose Yaakov and his children, Kaval Lahem at Rosh Chodesh HaGeula, he established for them ahead of month of redemption, who Inyan Naila Yoiser. It's an even higher level. Hainu Shagam Abchira Ba'olam. He Inyan Naila B'Yoiser Kanal, Shagam, even though the choice, the choosing of the world is a very high level, like we spoke about before, it comes from Hashem's very essence. Mikol Makim Hare Olam Huloshin Helam V'Hester Kiyadua. Olam is in the word concealment and covering. And therefore, despite Hashem's choice, it's still, the godliness is in a state that's concealed. But, therefore, there's much a greater ascent in the choice of Yaakov and his children. Therefore, he established in it ahead of month of redemption. To be able to understand this idea of the head of the month of redemption, it'll be understood according to what's explained in a different place. In the uniqueness of the performance of mitzvahs after the giving of the Torah. Though our sages teach that the Avos, the forefathers, fulfilled the entire Torah even prior to it being given. So what's the difference? What difference happened after the giving of the Torah if we already had the mitzvahs beforehand? All the mitzvahs that were done previous of the forefathers, these were considered only like a scent. It didn't have substance. It was only like a smell. The entire avodah prior to Matan Torah was only on the level of the name Elokim, like it says in the beginning, Elokim created. So the whole world until Matan Torah only was connected with the name Elokim. That level is the level of godliness, the way it's already embedded and limited within the world, the way it's tailored to fill the world. And during Matan Torah came in a way of a unique revelation that now we have the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's what it says at the beginning of going out of Mitzrayim. In the parsha, in other words, Va'eda, before the parsha of Boy, that says the command of Achosh Zalachem. The Yitzias Mitzrayim Yaschal in Matan Torah. Going out of Mitzrayim is already beginning Matan Torah. So when we say that Matan Torah is about Shem Havaya, it already begins with going out of Mitzrayim. It already begins with Parshas Va'eda, like we're going to explain. Why? What's the connection? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was told on Har Chodev, which would eventually be called Har Sinai, when you will take the Yidden out of the land of Mitzrayim, you will serve Hashem on this mountain, which means that the process of going out of Mitzrayim is all about the revelation of Matan Torah. So not just at Matan Torah began the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei to become revealed, and up until a minute before the Torah was given, it was Shem Elokim. No. Already in the process of going out of Mitzrayim, Hashem's Yud Kei Vav Kei name was being revealed. Like he says after the brackets, that says, I appeared to Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov, and my name Havaya I did not make known to them. There was no revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei, like we said before, Bereshis Bara Elokim, until Matan Torah, which began with going out of Mitzrayim. There was no revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei. And then, at the time of going out of Mitzrayim, it was said in the very beginning of Parshas Va'era, therefore say to the Bnei Yisrael, I am Havaya. Shahaya Agilu the Shem Havaya was the revelation of the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei Bechinas Soiv Kolam, the level that transcends the level of godliness that transcends and encompasses the worlds, which is an unlimited level. The Yisayim Mizu even more so. Like it says in the Aseres HaDibros, which is the beginning of the Torah. What's it mean, the beginning of the Torah? The Torah began from Bereshis, but Aseres HaDibros includes everything. Kikol HaTorah Klula B'Aseres HaDibros. The entire Torah is included in Aseres HaDibros. As it's known, Shetaryag HaOisis HaReshoines, the Aseres HaDibros, and Keneged Taryag Mitzvahs. The first 613 letters of the Aseres HaDibros are corresponding to the 613 mitzvahs. The Zayin HaOisis HaChroines Asher L'Reyacha, and the 7 final letters of the Aseres HaDibros, the letters of the 2 last words of the Aseres HaDibros, Asher L'Reyacha, Im Keneged Zayin Mitzvah Rabban, correspond to the 7 Mitzvah Rabban. And so we have the entire Torah in the Aseres HaDibros. That means that Aseres HaDibros is the beginning of the Torah. And how does the Aseres HaDibros begin? Which is the beginning of the entire Torah. Anoichi Havaya Lekecha. Shahaya Agilu de B'chinas Havaya V'Elekim. There was the revelation of Shem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and the revelation of Shem Elekim. Lefisha Oz Hayagilu Im B'chinas Anoichi Shalamayla Mishneim. Then was a revelation from Hashem's I, from who I am, that's beyond any type of name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei or Lakim, Anoichi, Misha Anoichi, I who I am. And like we used the term that it says before, Hashem's very essence is the Loisramis B'Shum Oisa B'Shum Koitz Chulu. It can't be hinted by any letter and any point on the letter. It's beyond any way of being named or described. So the Rebbe is going to ask, but don't we have this also at the beginning of creation? Though also the revelation of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei was also in the world at the time of its creation. Like it says, like it says in the day that Havaya Lekim made the earth and the heavens. Still in all, that was only in a state of potential. And the revealed way, the revelation of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei was only in the Torah. But in the world this was concealed. That's why we said before, Oilam from the word concealment. And during the giving of the Torah, this was also revealed in the world. And similarly, through the avoid of Torah mitzvahs, we reveal this in the world. This is why it says, last paragraph on the page, that when Hashem chose Yaakov and his children, he established for them a head of month of redemption, though even prior to the redemption. We know that Hashem created the world complete, full. And also it's called Bereshis, that it was created for the Yidden that are also called the Reshis, the first. That the creation was for the sake of Yidden. So what's the chiddush of comes Nisan, Bachar B'Yaakov Bonov? You already had the Jewish people already at the beginning of creation involved. So he says, Mekal Makom Daf Gebitzias Mitzrayim Nifala Ilusha B'Chodesh Nisan. Only in going out of Mitzrayim was affected the advantage and quality of the month of Nisan. The Nisan Uchodesh Hagula Shabai Nigalu Abai Asidim Ligol. Nisan is the month of redemption. That in that month they were redeemed, and in that month they will be redeemed in the future. Additionally, the Nisan Yesh by Beis Nunin. The word Nisan has the 2 letters Nun at the beginning and at the end. The Isa Gemara is brought down the Gemara, the Beis Nunin Hem Siman Lo Nisim Nisim. 2 nuns are a sign for miracles of miracles. As it said, the Gemara over there speaks about if a person sees Nisan in a dream, that means that miracles of miracles will happen to him. Havaya Nisi, and we know Shem Havaya has to do with miracles. The natural order of things has to do with Shem Elakim. Elakim, as we know, there is the numerical equivalent of the word Hateva, meaning nature. But Havaya, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, has to do with miracles. So the month of Nisan, which is about miracles and miracles of miracles, that has to do with the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And the Rebbe is going to explain what is Nisim versus Nisei Nisim. Okay, as it's known, Shagam ben Nisim Shem Lamaylam Didavag Bola, also in miracles that are beyond measure and boundary. Just like Shem Yitke Vovke is beyond measure and boundary. Just like the whole idea of Nisan and Geula is beyond measure and boundary. And Soyev Kalam is beyond measure and boundary. Yesh Seder Mesuyam, even in miracles, there still could be a certain order to it. But Van Nisim the Nisan hem Nisei Nisim, and the miracles of Nisan are miracles of miracles, that even within miracles they break out of the box. Ubavoidus Adam, what does this mean? The service of a person. The Amar Chazal said, every single generation, a person has to picture himself as if he went out now from Mitzrayim. What is the idea of Nisei Nisim? Hu inyan simcha shal mitzvah. It's not just performing mitzvahs, which mitzvahs after Matan Torah, we said the Shem Havaya has to do with Soyev Kalam, it transcends the world, not like the mitzvahs of the Avos. But Nisei Nisim, what's breaking out of the bounds, within the bounds of miracles, that's the joy of a mitzvah. That concerning it, it says, you served Hashem your God with joy and gladness of heart from much of everything. The Rav Koil, that much of everything is the revelation of the world to come. Skip the parentheses. Sha'olav Amru, concerning this, it said, that it's greater 1 moment of 1 hour of pleasure in the world to come than the entire life of this world. It says, it's greater than Olam Haba, because the simcha of a mitzvah is even higher than the level of Olam Haba. It's the level that corresponds to Nisei Nisim, miracles of miracles. So now the Rebbe is going to go back to the different stages that we spoke about before. Top of the last page. The order of the matter is that initially Hashem chose His world. And then afterwards that He chose Yaakov and his children. This is similar to what the Chazal also say. Hashem should have only begun the Torah from this month is a month for you. In other words, don't begin with Chumash Bereshis. Leave the whole Chumash Bereshis out. Begin from Parshas Boy, where it starts talking about the first mitzvah that the Eden were given, the mitzvah of the Kiddush HaChodesh. Ba'af became still in all. Still in all, despite the reasons that we would have thought should have begun from HaChodesh, still in all begins from Bereshis. Because it's a stage-by-stage process. First, there's Hashem choosing the world. And afterwards, there's He's choosing Yaakov. It says, also the world He placed in the heart of a person. The Mezem movement is understood. The just like in the world. Initially, first there's Hashem choosing in His world, and afterwards He chooses Yaakov and his children. So too it's in the person's service to Hashem. What does that mean in the person's service of Hashem? In the service of a person to Hashem, there's first the order that he loves Hashem with all his heart, and then with all his soul, and then with all of his might. The avodah with all your heart and all your soul is still within the confines of the person's own limited being. Similar to Mishabacher by Lamed, that Hashem chose His world, the way it's limited. And the idea of with all your might, the Chassidus always says, that shows on breaking out of boundaries completely. That's the month of redemption in a person's service to Hashem. Second paragraph on the page, where it says in the continuation of the pasuk concerning the month of Nisan, it says, Rishon hu lachem l'chot hashana. This is a first for you for the months of the years. Moving, it's understood, the influence of the choice that Hashem made in Yaakov and his children is also in the world of Hashem. It's not just some private thing that matters for the Yidden. but it also influences the world. Hainu be'inyan hashanim, also in the idea of years, Rosh Hashanah l'shanim. It says, Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. The fact that he brings in Shana over here, the year, that means it doesn't just influence the months that have to do with the Yidden, but also the world in general, which has to do with the years. The idea behind this is, it's known, the Yud Beis Chodshei Hashanah and connected Yud Beis Chayis HaMerkava. It's known that the 12 months of the year correspond to the 12 beasts of the divine chariot, talking about different types of malachim. The Markava Yesh Dal Golem, that in the divine chariot there are 4 flags, 4 encampments, similar to the fact that there were 4 encampments down here. That's why the Yidden were given 4 encampments to correspond to the 4 encampments of Malachim in the spiritual realms. Each one of these flags, encampments, have in it 3 of these Malachim called Chayos, so 3 times 4, it's 12. In this 12, that has to do with the 12 months of the year that correspond to the 12 in the divine chariot. There are 2 levels of year. The Chodshei Hashanah Stam in Bechinas Merkava de Bria. The months of the year, just plain without the Yidden's influence. That's the chariot, the divine chariot of the world of Bria, which is already a created world. And the effect that came about through the month of Nisan is that now the 12 months down here are not just connected to the 12 levels of Malachim in the world of Bria, but even they should come from the level of the divine chariot the way it's not Tzilus. Let's explain in a different place. You can skip the parentheses. In the explanation, what the Chazal say, that the Shvatim told Yaakov, just like in your heart there's only one God in your mind, in your heart, so too in our heart there's one. That's what it means, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. The Shvatim addressed Yaakov Avinu by the name Yisrael. Listen, Yisrael, meaning Yaakov, their father, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. It's one God, just like you believe in one God. Hashem Elokeinu, they're the same God. Elokeinu, our God, is one, just like yours is one, so too we don't have multiple gods. Hainu, this means, Sha'abitl, Merkava Shal Shvatim, Yud Beis Shvatim. The Shvatim were also considered a divine chariot. So they were indicating that the Bitl and their divine chariot, which was the 12 Shvatim, it was in the same manner like Yaakov's Bitl, that Yaakov, his level was in the level of the world of Atzilus. In other words, through the idea of Matan Torah, they could be uplifted all the way that high. Kishem chulukach, just like, so too. Over there, the Shvatim rose, the Shvatim of Hashem. The Shvatim rose up above into the level of Yudke. Yudke is a name that's associated with the world of Atzilus. It says, when Yaakov Avinu heard the Shvatim say that, so he was so thankful, and he replied and he answered to their statement, Baruch Shem Kved Mechuslan Vod, blessed is the name of the glory of his kingship forever. The Yisoid Kalavoida, the basis and foundation for the entire service, the B'chol Vovcha, B'chol Nafsho, B'chol Meidecha. After Baruch Shem, we speak about the service with all your heart, with all your soul, all your might, with all your might. What's the foundation for it? B'Shema Yisrael Avay Elokeinu Avay Echad. It's in Shema Yisrael, which is our bittul, the Mesiras Nefesh. It's the bittul of totally devoting oneself in complete self-sacrifice for Hashem. The bittul zeh nimshach Baruch Shem Kved Malchusay. This bittul comes down in Baruch Shem Kved Malchusay. Shem Gimel in Yonim Keneged Gimel Oilmas Biyah. These are the 3 matters that correspond to the 3 worlds of Bria Tzir Asiyah. In other words, Shem Kved Malchusay, name is going the world of Bria, Kvod, glory is going on Yitzira, Malchusa is going on Asiya, and Baruch means Baruch Shem Kvod Malchusa. Baruch is from the word Hamshacha, drawing down. So the bittul of Atzilus is coming down into the worlds of Biam, the Gambahem, also in them, also including the Shvatim, also including the 12 months. Nimshach habitl k'maishu b'atzilus comes down to bitl the way it's not tzilus. V'zeu hachodesh hazel lochem. That's why also it says this month is for you. That the month of Nisan is a month of redemption, that in it the Yidden were redeemed from Mitzrayim, and in it they will be redeemed in the future. This is also what it says, this month is for you. It's a result and an outcome of the avoid of a person. He called like you learned the loss of love, because all the revelations of the future times depend on our actions and service, like the expression of Tanya is in our recent chitas. The Maseinu Lashon Kfiyah. Maseinu, which simply means action, is also from the word coercion. The Chazal, when they talk about coercing people to give tzedakah, say use the term me'asin. So we see the word ma'asenu is from the word coercion, iskafia, meaning bending and sublimating ourselves in our service of Hashem. In our service, we know and what's mean our service? That's like the service of a servant to his master. The perfect type of avoida is like the avoida of a simple servant. He feels his entire being is the being of the master. That's the idea of transformation. Sublimation is the lower level, that's Masenu, and Avodah transformation is the higher level. The ideas are through this, we merit that Nisan we will be redeemed in the future. And even prior to that, in the month of Adar, the body, it's a month that its mazel is healthy and strong. And one geula is brought close to the next. The geula mitzvah shleim, the true and complete redemption. And automatically, in the month of Nisan, after the redemption, we find ourselves in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, because if we are redeemed in others, so when it comes Nisan, we're already there. And we'll eat over there from the sacrifices and from the Korban Pesach, speedily in our days, mamash.